August 27th, 2017. Hurricane Harvey is tearing through Houston. The fourth largest city in America is drowning. People are trapped on rooftops. Bodies are floating down highways. Shelters are overflowing. And in the middle of all this chaos, there's a building that could hold 16,000 people. A building with generators, food supplies, and enough space to shelter thousands of desperate families. Lakewood Church, the largest megachurch in America. Joel Osteen's $105 million palace of prosperity. The doors were locked, and the internet was watching. What happened over the next 72 hours didn't just embarrass Joel Osteen. It shattered something that took him decades to build. Trust. This is the story of how one Sunday destroyed a legacy. To understand why this moment hit so hard, you need to understand who Joel Osteen was before Harvey. By 2017, Joel Osteen wasn't just a pastor, he was a brand. His weekly televised services reached 10 million viewers in over 100 countries. His books had sold more than 30 million copies. Your Best Life Now spent years on the New York Times bestseller list. He filled stadiums like a rock star. Madison Square Garden, Yankee Stadium. Sold out. Lakewood Church itself was a monument to his success. The former Compaq Center, once home to the Houston Rockets, transformed into a gleaming worship facility. 16,800 seats. A $105 million renovation, the largest megachurch in the United States, and at the center of it all was that smile, that relentlessly optimistic message. God wants you to prosper. God wants you to succeed. Think positive, and blessings will follow. Millions believed it. Millions bought the books. Millions tuned in every Sunday. Joel Osteen had built something most pastors only dream about. A religious empire with global reach and a personal fortune estimated at $100 million. Then the storm came. Hurricane Harvey made landfall on August the 25th, 2017. By the time it finished, it would dump over 60 inches of rain on parts of Houston. The most rainfall ever recorded from a single storm in U.S. history. The numbers are almost impossible to comprehend. 30,000 people displaced, 17,000 rescued by boat and helicopter, over 100 dead, $125 billion in damage. Houston was underwater, literally, and Houstonians needed shelter, desperately. The George R. Brown Convention Center opened its doors. Thousands poured in. Other churches across the city did the same. Furniture stores, mattress warehouses, anyone with space was opening up. But Lakewood Church, silent. On August 27th, and as the city drowned, Lakewood posted a message on social media. Services were canceled. The church was inaccessible due to severe flooding. That word, inaccessible, it would haunt them. Because within hours, photos started circulating. Photos of the Lakewood parking lot. Photos of the church exterior, dry, completely dry. Twitter exploded. One post showed the church's empty parking garage, bone dry, no flooding. Another showed the surrounding streets, passable. A third showed the front entrance, no water in sight. The hashtags started trending. Joel Osteen is over party, Osteen flood. People were furious, and they weren't holding back. One tweet read, Joel Osteen won't open his church to flood victims because it might get his Gucci loafers wet. Another, Lakewood Church seats 16,000. Houston is drowning. And Joel Osteen locked the doors. Celebrities piled on, activists, journalists, random people who had never thought about Joel Osteen in their lives. The contrast was impossible to ignore. Because while Lakewood sat empty, another Houston businessman was doing something very different. His name is Jim Mackingvale. You probably know him as Mattress Mac. Mattress Mac owns Gallery Furniture, a Houston furniture chain famous for its over-the-top commercials. When Harvey hit, Mac didn't hesitate. He opened his showrooms to anyone who needed shelter. He sent his delivery trucks into flooded neighborhoods to rescue stranded families. He personally drove through floodwaters to pick people up. Strangers slept on $3,000 mattresses. Families camped out in living room displays. Mac fed them, housed them, for days. No press releases, no hesitation, and just action. And the internet noticed. The memes wrote themselves. Mattress Mac versus Joel Osteen. The furniture salesman who opened everything versus the prosperity preacher who locked the doors. One image showed Mac carrying an elderly woman to safety. Another showed Osteen's empty, dry parking lot, side by side. The message was clear. For 48 hours, Joel Osteen said nothing. His representatives released vague statements about inaccessibility and safety concerns. They claimed the building had flooded in the past. They said they were preparing to become a shelter, but the damage was done. Every hour of silence made it worse. Finally, on August 29th, 2 full days after the initial outcry, Lakewood opened its doors. Osteen appeared on camera looking defensive. He insisted the church had always planned to help. He said the lower levels had experienced flooding. He blamed the media for twisting the story. But by then, no one was buying it. The photos were everywhere. The parking lot was dry. The streets were passable. Other churches had opened immediately. And Lakewood had waited until the PR disaster became unbearable. One reporter asked Osteen directly, "Why didn't you open sooner?" His answer satisfied no one. The fallout was immediate, and it was permanent. Lakewood's reputation, carefully cultivated over decades, cracked in a single weekend. Before Harvey, criticism of Osteen existed, but stayed mostly in religious circles. Theologians who questioned prosperity gospel, pastors who found his message shallow. But the average person, they saw the smile. They saw the positivity. They didn't dig deeper. After Harvey, everyone dug deeper. Suddenly, the $10.5 million mansion was news again. The private jet usage, the $4.4 million book advance, the $200,000 speaking fees, all of it came flooding back with new context. This was the guy who locked his doors while Houston drowned. Church attendance data tells the story. In the years following Harvey, Lakewood's in-person attendance began a steady decline. The pandemic accelerated it, but the trend started earlier. The trust was already broken. His book sales dropped. Media invitations became more skeptical. The soft, friendly interviews became pointed questions about wealth and hypocrisy. And the internet never forgot. To this day, any mention of Joel Osteen triggers the same responses. Hurricane Harvey. Locked doors. Mattress Mac. You can spend 30 years building a brand. You can sell millions of books. You can fill stadiums and broadcast to the world. But one moment of perceived hypocrisy can undo all of it. Joel Osteen preached prosperity. He preached that God blesses those who believe. He told millions that faith leads to abundance. And when his city needed him most, he locked the doors to his $105 million church. Maybe the building really did have flooding concerns. Maybe there were safety protocols that required delay. Maybe the truth is more complicated than the memes suggest. But none of that mattered, because in a crisis, people don't remember explanations. They remember actions. They remember who showed up. And they remember who didn't. Mattress Mac showed up. Joel Osteen didn't. Not until Twitter forced his hand. That's what people remember. That's what they'll always remember. The Sunday that ended Joel Osteen's legacy wasn't the day the storm hit. It was the day the photos went viral. The day the parking lot proved the church was accessible. The day the prosperity preacher chose caution over compassion. Some empires fall to scandal. Some fall to financial ruin. Joel Osteen's empire didn't fall, but it cracked permanently. And every time his name comes up, so does Harvey. So do the locked doors. So does Mattress Mac carrying that elderly woman to safety while Lakewood sat empty. If you found this story revealing, hit subscribe. I cover stories like this every week. The moments that change everything and the decisions people can't take back. Now let's see what else you might have missed.